Oh, hi there. Today I wanted to make a video which I will try to make some critical points, but to be honest with you, I've done like little to no research on this. Uh, but here goes. I'm going to talk about the Canadian political system and how it's an absolute joke. Um, okay, so everyone knows Justin Trudeau is the Prime Minister. He's also the biggest apologist. He's always apologizing for the most ridiculous of things. He's crawling to people quite often, and I don't know exactly why that is that he's behaving in that manner. What he's like behind closed doors when he's making big decisions, I don't know. I suspect he's a completely different person. He demonstrates characteristics to me that would say that he's got a porcelain mask for a face, one for the public, and he has another one for his inner circle, whatever, whoever is in that circle. Um, all in all, I guess he's, not doing too bad a job really, even though I don't like him. And, he's always talking about helping the middle class and raising the standard of living, the usual spiel that he always goes on about. But then, he does little things like, he takes away people's ability to use their bus pass for tax, and that really hurts people that obviously can't afford high-end luxury vehicles, like some people can in Canada. So that's a load of garbage right there. I'm not going to say it's directly Justin Trudeau's fault. I mean, there's a many number of people whose fault that could be, but it has happened under his administration. Um, Well, let's get talking to some of the public figures that are on the Wikipedia and what kind of, jobs are vaguely told of what they do. Because, as I said with the porcelain mask, I think that's the same thing with his public image as far as the party is concerned, his cabinet. There's the public image, and then there's the real people who are in charge. And they're completely different. I mean, you look at his cabinet. I'm looking at it right now, as a matter of fact, um, and it is the most politically correct looking cabinet he could possibly formulate. I'm just really glad there isn't any, CCP Chinese cabinet members. Thank you, Justin Trudeau, as far as I could see. Because believe you me, their representative would like to come over and start telling us what to do. He would really relish in doing that, but that's not going to happen. Or at least I'd like that not to happen. Who knows? Anyway, let's go through the list. Okay. I didn't write them all down, but I wrote some of them down. Minister of Finance. I've never heard this guy speak before. I don't know what he sounds like. And that's the same thing with most of the people on this list, actually, because I don't watch the news. I just, the force surrounds us, and that's how you interpret things. You see how your day-to-day life is, and you really can blame a prime minister if your living standards have gone down under their administration. I mean, it's definitely directly not their fault, or in some instances it's not, but you really can, because it's almost like they've got really strong powers, and they can just, they can move through walls, and they can do this and that, and they seem like a good person to blame for your problems. Anyway, Minister of Finance, this Bill Monroe guy. To me, uh, I am judgmental on how people appear. I am this way because that is how I've been treated my whole life. Because people look at me and they all of a sudden they go, "Oh, he's a country bumpkin, he's whatever." And if everyone else treats me like that, why shouldn't I look at people and judge them by their appearance? This Bill Monroe guy, took a quick look at him, and he looks like the Grinch. And he's the Minister of Finance. He I just swear, he looks like the Grinch. He could have pulled the Grinch off better than Jim Carrey. And when it's coming to money, I guess that's what you'd kind of expect. But I haven't heard him speak, so I can't bad rap him too bad. But this next guy, I have heard him speak, and he is a lousy spokesman. I think he does it intentionally. He's East Indian. He's the Minister of National Defense, Harjit Sajjan. I probably pronounced that terribly, but I don't care because he's East Indian. Um, that guy cannot string a sentence together. Like, how did he get to that position in the first place? I actually think that's a bit of a front. I think he can speak English a lot better than he does in front of the camera. I mean, there's a lot of tension there. I know, and it can be, kind of awkward as far as the global position goes. Uh, I have watched the Obama deception, and uh, he looks about as East Indian as it gets, but don't really know exactly what he's been getting up to or who his friends are or what they do. And it's kind of funny because his associate Minister of Defense is a guy named Seamus O'Regan. I bet you he's like, I bet they have some conversations where they're like, I'm afraid I don't agree with you on that one. We're going to, have a big long debate about that. He does other things too. He's Minister of Veteran Affairs as well. I don't know. I suppose I could trust that little leprechaun a little bit better, but I don't know. Um, what else you got here? Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship, Ahmed Hussein. Don't know his story, don't know anything about him. To be kind of judgmental, I already don't like him. Let's just be clear, everyone on this list I don't like, so there's enough dislike to go around. Yeah, so he's the Minister of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship. And this might be part of the problem of why Canada is spending more on the system and it's less effective. That's one of the critics of this Liberal Party is that they're spending more money and they're getting less done. So yeah, that's pretty important. Who we got next? Okay, we got the Minister of Fisheries, Oceans, and the Canadian Coast Guard, Hunter Tutu, First Nations guy. Fair enough. That sounds all right to me. They do have a big say in what goes on in fisheries and things like that. And there have been opportunistic people who have promoted the idea of farm fishing, which I'm totally against, and I'm sure Hunter Tutu feels the same way. Again, I've never heard him speak before. I have no idea, but it would seem that would be the case. What else we got here? Minister of Natural Resources. Guy looks like, Gordon Clark. Wouldn't trust him with anything. He looks like totally like he'd be selling our resources down the drain if he could. Personally, he looks kind of real sleazy to me. And, I'm not accustomed to, being around sleazy people, but, he really does look it. These people I'm talking about, they're really not very interesting people to talk about, I gotta say. They're all a bunch of phonies, in my opinion. Okay, here's a comical one. Minister of Innovation, Science, and Economic Development, Navdeep Bains. Like, you do understand where he came from, right? Where religion was running rampant and people are shitting in the street. and all the fucking horrible things that happen over there, and he's the Minister of Innovation, Science, and Economic Development? Okay, but that's some sort of insider joke that I wasn't invited in on. What else we got here? Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada, Jody Wilson-Raybould. I believe she's First Nations, if I remember correctly, from my 5 minutes of research. Yeah, I ain't got nothing to say there. I don't know. Minister of Small Business and Tourism, Bardish Chagger. Oh yeah, you've done a wonderful job. You know, all the companies that have been taken over by bigger companies and things like that, and how small businesses are disappearing. Well, yeah, you're doing a wonderful job. I mean, like all those, you know, uh, less financed, not big corporation companies are disappearing. I don't know if anyone else noticed these little things, but she's either, you know, an amazing fraud or an abysmal minister of small business. One or the other. Neither choice is really a good one. Uh, and I would assume she's East Indian as well. You know, I mean, I don't mean to sound like a dick when I'm talking to or about East Indian peoples, but you know, they can be racist. But in this day and age, if a white man says you don't like the East Indians for this reason, he's considered the bad guy. And you know, I've been considered the bad guy because of how people perceive me to be anyway. So I'm gonna say, fuck it. Uh, yeah. So anyway, that's the most part of Justin Trudeau's cabinet. And I mean, as I said, you know, I suppose he's doing somewhat of an okay job, even if I don't like him. I mean, nothing drastic has happened because we live in a world where, you know, drastic things happen all the time. I don't know if you know about the Israel strikes against the Iranian positions in Syria and all those other little things. And they were very clever about how they told us that. You know, they do that. They tell you real quickly, really quietly, like, no big deal, don't worry about it. And then they switch subjects, um, you know, to something a lot less, you know, negative. Like, oh, maybe the Sedines are retiring, or the Winnipeg Jets are doing well, or, you know, whatever. Uh, yeah, anyway, aside from my 5 minutes of research, um, I don't know anything about these people, but there's probably nothing worthwhile knowing about them anyway. The real power is not politically correct. It's not polite. It doesn't ask when it wants to do something, it just does it. And these people, they're just, you know, it's the Obama deception. They're just the face that shows up to, you know, give a blurred vision of what's going on. And, you know, most people don't know. And you might be better off that way, but you may not. Who knows? These people they're all a bunch of cunts. You know what I mean? And like all of them, every single last one of them. All right. There's gonna be an election in 2019. Now I ain't no Nostradamus. I ain't no Merlin or any of that kind of stuff. You know, and that's not me. But I can already tell you that Justin Trudeau is going to win. And the reason I believe that is because, well, it's of his father. He's living off his father's legacy, and that's what gave him the big, you know, political push and was able to allow him to attain prime minister, the position of prime minister. And when you look at his two major opponents, um, it's, you know, the NDP, when Tom Mulcair, you know, when he basically collapsed, I remember hearing then and there of him speaking, and he was a confident man. Nothing shook him. He wasn't afraid of anything. And then when the election came, it was like he went on a roller coaster, um, and wasn't expecting it. And like I remember one speech he was making, and he was like shaking, and like he was just like totally like any grace he had was gone at that point. Anyway, so yeah, they got a new guy, uh, Jagmeet Singh, to lead the NDP. Yeah, he's made a few blunders already. I've heard here and there. I can't remember them specifically, but like sometimes they put someone at the helm of a sinking ship, and the NDP is a sinking ship. Uh, they are not going to be in power for quite some time. Um, okay, and then let's switch over to the Conservatives, which was, as everyone remembers, Stephen Harper. Uh, a lot of people hate Stephen Harper, and for really good reasons. And people were just happy to get rid of the Conservative Party. Um, they are the closest to an opponent against Justin Trudeau, and it is the guy at the helm, Andrew Scheer. I haven't heard him speak too much, but he's kind of funny. Like he's poking at Justin Trudeau basically when he's doing his debates against him, and you can see Justin Trudeau getting annoyed by him. I mean, Andrew Scheer is a young guy, man. It's just unfortunate that the party he represents is a pile of shit. Nobody likes the Tories. So, I mean, as amusing as a guy as he is, um, from what I've seen, I haven't watched too much. Um, I just can't see them beating Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party, unless of course, they do something in the future that is in. I can't even think of the word. Era heads. I'm not going to attempt to remember the word I was going to use, but unless they do something that they really shouldn't, and people get mad about that, then I can't see the Tories and Andrew Scheer beating Justin Trudeau. I mean, Andrew Scheer is a young guy, and he really knows how to annoy Justin Trudeau. That much is evident. But one of the things Justin Trudeau repeatedly says when I hear him talking is that I will not be lectured about this, blah, blah, blah. And he's essentially saying from the Conservative Party. And, you might have a little bit of a point there, but, from Andrew Scheer's position, he's going, well, hey, man, I'm 32 years old. I wasn't there for when Justin Trudeau was, being a rampant asshole. So that's his position. Um, and, yeah, I don't know. I just, it looks like it's definitely going to be another era of Justin Trudeau in 2019. It looks fairly unstoppable at this point, and I just wanted to make this video in case it wasn't clear to some people that they, figured that that there is actually an election coming up. There isn't. It's basically going to be stroking Justin Trudeau for what an amazing job he's doing as Prime Minister. All the crawling he's been doing, all the apologizing, all the equality, and I want to. You heard me read that list, right? Of his cabinet ministers. They're either sleazy looking people, or they're people who I would deem as not Canadian. Uh, they're East Indian. They're from wherever. They're not Canadian. They may be to Justin Trudeau's porcelain face government, but in reality, they are not. And maybe I'm being slightly rude on this, but hey, it's the truth. And I know the truth, some people don't like to hear it. Some people get really mad when you tell them the truth, but, fuck off. Uh, so yeah, there is no election coming up. It's just patting Justin Trudeau on the back. Uh, Andrew Scheer knows it, Jagmeet Singh knows it, and the entire cabinet of the Liberal Party knows it. So if you wanted my 2 cents, that's what it is. And this subject, in my opinion, deserves no more attention. Uh, there are so many crawlers, beggars, authoritarian pricks. Uh, every piece of despicable garbage seems to be a bureaucrat. And, I don't want to be part of that scene, man. I prefer to be left with the vegetables and going out in the daylight and enjoying living in Canada and the other things, and not think about the armies of assholes that work for the government. Christ, what is the percentage? Is it like 15% of all people in Canada work for the government? It's just like, how about all of them, because they're all pricks, can go fuck off? It's just a theory of mine. What are you gonna do? Anyway, so yeah, I guess this is my video. Talk to you guys later. Have a good one.